All right, everybody. On behalf of Trident Title, Performance Title, and Synergy Title, I want to welcome you guys to Intro to SEO, Search Engine Optimization for Real Estate Professionals. Today is exactly that, an introductory level course. So some of you guys that are really in depth in SEO, this might seem a little, beginner for you or whatnot, but I really want to get everybody kind of in the right track, give you guys some tips and some tricks, not only on why this is important, but some things that you can do today that you can put into action pretty quickly and pretty easily to start ranking up higher on the search engine results. And for those of you that know this really well, there's some stuff that we're not going to dive too deep in because this could be an all-day affair. But I want to get some tips and some tricks out for you guys that are starting to build a website or that are starting to do a blog or that are looking to just show up higher in some things. So we're going to cover what actually SEO is, why it's important, and then we'll just spend the rest of the time. I have 9 or 10 tips and tricks for you with some examples and some screenshots and some things to show you that should definitely help no matter what level you're at. If you just started, in the last couple of weeks, I know some people on here that are brand new agents. And then some people that have been in the business and have been doing this forever. So it should be able to cover and help really anybody at any level. Most of you guys I know by now. I do see a couple new faces. Those of you that I don't know, my name is Ryan McHugh. I work with Trident Performance and Synergy. We have 38 title companies now all throughout the state. And our goal is just to kind of help you guys grow your business because we know that's how we get the business back. So we are doing this to get your title business for sure. But we know if we give first and kind of help you guys out, that the goal is that you send the deals our way. So a lot of you I see have already sent us deals, and some of you guys have known forever and have been sending us deals. So I surely appreciate that. Those of you who have not yet, let me know what we can do to earn that business, and would love to get the opportunity to work with you. I've been a single agent. I've ran a really big real estate team. I've ran a really huge real estate office. Now I just spend time kind of teaching and training you guys. So wherever you're at in your business or your brokerage, there's a good chance that I can help. So reach out if there's something that you think that you need some help with. All right, let's dive in. No more me stuff, and my dog is asleep. So we are set. All right, so what actually is SEO? When people look up SEO or they start searching for something, I just want to give you guys that just don't know a very, very basic overview. But basically, SEO is this. It's what comes up when you type in something to search. The simplest way to explain it is when you type in Jupiter homes for sale or who's a Jupiter realtor, who shows up, right? So just 2 quick screenshots of what that looks like and what comes up at the top for something that I searched. We'll dive more in depth into this a little bit later. But SEO stands for search engine optimization. If you don't know what that means or what that stands for, that's what it is. But what does it really mean? So to put it simply, it means showing up in search engines when someone is looking for a real estate professional or when someone is looking for a property. It's just how do people find you? And, I don't want to overcomplicate it any more than that. It's if someone's looking for a realtor or someone's looking for a lender or someone's looking for a title company, who shows up? Or if they're looking to buy a house in a certain area, a certain city, a certain town, what shows up? And everything that we kind of do in real estate and everything we're going to talk about here over the next, 45 minutes or so is just geared towards helping you, climb up that ladder and do better at that. So why it's so important? Really, because in 1981, 90% of home buyers started their real estate search in the newspaper. We obviously know that's not the case now. 90% of real estate transactions, begin online. So it's important because that's where the customers are, right? If you were in the business in 1981, if anybody was, type yes in the chat. I would love to see if we have anybody that's been in that long. That's 7 years before I was born, just to rub that in for some of you guys. But if anybody was in the business back then, you had to meet people through database, same way now, right? Word of mouth, open houses, or really the newspaper. That was how you advertise. That was how you advertise your homes yourself. Obviously not the case anymore. We know the business has changed a lot in these, 40 years here. So we have to adapt. And we know that there's still some agents that are, not adapting. And the goal today is just to kind of make sure that you have a head start for that. So of those searches, 90% of those searches that start online, 44% of them start strictly on Google. They start right on Google. And that's really what we're going to focus on a lot of today. And 60% of those people, they click on one of the top 3 results, regardless of if they know that brand or not. So our goal is to help drive you to the top. That's really the goal of today, is to get you up there, as high as you can or as high as you can show up so that you have a chance of being reached. Because if you're on page 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, you pretty much have no chance. So we're going to talk about all the tips and the tricks to help start getting you up there. One thing with SEO is this is not something that's going to happen overnight. So if you start doing this today, you learn something on the class, start doing it today, tomorrow morning, you're most likely not going to be in the top. You might, there's a chance, especially if you've already been putting in some work on these things. But this is a long game, but it's important that you start now. And there are some ways to kind of fast track and shortcut it. And we're going to cover and we're going to touch on all those things today. So why else it's important? Number one, fewer cold calls, right? If you hate making cold calls, calling expireds, calling FSBOs, or door knocking, type yes in the chat. Who does not like cold calls, FSBOs, or expireds? Type yes in the chat. If you don't like doing those, this is one way to start getting around it, right? At the end of the day, what we have to realize in real estate is that there's 40,000 plus realtors in Palm Beach County. 40,000 plus. Think about that. I always hear people joke that when you move to Palm Beach County, you get your driver's license changed and you update your real estate license. It's kind of one of those things that you do. If we want to avoid either A, getting no business, or B, having to cold call for it, which we know sucks, we have to find a way to get the leads to come to us. We have to find a way to catch them in our web. And SEO is really one of the most important ways to do that, especially now. So we definitely want to dive on and talk about that a little bit today. Less unqualified prospects. So, I teach social media leads all the time too. And we used to run a really large campaign through social media, and I still do with some agents, spending thousands of dollars a month and generating sometimes hundreds of thousands of leads throughout the course of the year. The good thing about SEO is that these are more targeted, less unqualified prospects because they're further down the funnel. And what that means when you really think about it is when someone's searching on Facebook, think of the mindset of a Facebook real estate lead or an Instagram lead or a Twitter or Snapchat or whatever else you're using. That social lead, they are looking at what their friends did this weekend. They're looking at what their grandkids are doing. They're looking at what their friends had for dinner, researching travel spots and checking out all the local groups that they're in. And then all of a sudden on the side, they see something that catches their eye. It has something to do with real estate or maybe mortgage rates or refi or what's your home worth or whatever. They click on it for 2 seconds. It automatically throws some information at them. And if they're not like ready to do something today, they just move on. And then you get the lead. And by the time you call them, they've already forgotten that they clicked on that. They've moved on and they're continuing on with their day. Where when you get a Google lead or a search engine lead, someone had to go to the site and specifically type in what it is you're calling about. So it's a lot less of a chance that you're going to get that unqualified prospect or even unmotivated prospect because they were intentionally searching for real estate. They didn't just get distracted by real estate. So a lot less unqualified prospects. And of course, this generates more revenue, which is a plus, right? Anytime we can make more money, that's always good. And one of my least favorite real estate agent quotes is that I work 24/7, right? This is something that actually does work 24/7. It works when you're asleep. You don't work when you're asleep, and you don't work when you're at the bar on vacation. So SEO works all the time. And that's one thing that's great about this. You can receive a lead like this, at 3 a.m. and capture it and still be able to service that lead the next day, or get to work. It really is working for you all the time, not 24/7 in quotes. So I think we've covered enough of what SEO is and why it's important. So I want to just dive right in really and just start doing some tips and some tricks. Number one is really just the fact that you have to keep score. And if you're not keeping score and you don't know where you're at, you can't get any better, right? So for most of you guys, this is going to be the first time you're answering some of these questions or looking at some of these sites, and that's totally okay. Wherever you're starting at, whatever you're getting going and getting working on today is a good spot, right? It doesn't matter where you are, what level you're at. Truthfully, honestly, it doesn't matter. You just have to pick somewhere to start, and you need to know what your score is when you get started, because most people, they don't track these numbers. They don't look at these things, and then they never know if what they're doing is working or getting them better, or getting them further ahead. So 3 questions to ask yourself, and I don't want you to do this while you're on the call, but I want you to either write these down, or type them or put them in your phone or whatever to make sure that you get later. So number 1, does your site rank? And all I mean by that is, do you find your site? If you go online and search for you or real estate in a certain area or a certain niche that you work, do you find you? And it's either a yes or no question. And whatever the answer is okay. For most of us, it's going to be yes, but it's going to be on the 2nd or 3rd page. And for some of us, we're going to lose patience like me before we even get to the 3rd page. And we're going to say no. And either way, that's okay. The second piece is, are you getting any organic traffic? Meaning, are people just showing up on your site randomly? And the way you know that is, do you have people browsing your site? Do you randomly get, a text or a notification that says Joe Smith signed up for the link on your website, contact him to look at properties? And number three, are you generating any leads on your website? And it really is a yes or no question. It's not any more detailed than that. Yes or no. Have you gotten a lead on your website? Let's just say in the last 30 days. And if you have, we're already started in a decent direction. And if not, that's okay too. It's just important to know. And the two ways that you're going to do this are these two sites. Number one is google.com. You're going to go on Google, type in your name, see what you find. Type in your city, see what you find. Just do a little bit of research. And the second one is called the Hoth, TheHoth.com. It sounds like something that should be in, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or whatever that show is that everybody was crazy about. So when we look at these, one thing you can do, I just typed in one of our businesses, Trident Title, and you see what comes up. So the first thing that comes up, organic, not paid, is our title company. So that's good. And then you see on the map a couple options, our different offices, different branches, and things like that. So that's good. Ideally, this would be the same thing for your real estate business. You'll see the top one be your website or wherever you drive people. Maybe it's your Facebook business page. Game of Thrones is what I was thinking, by the way. The Hoth reminded me of something that would be in Game of Thrones. And as you scroll down, you're going to see options. And this means if you have an office. So this might be, well, I'll tell you what it is connected to. It's connected to Google My Business, which I'll teach you guys how to do for free a little bit later. But when you see something comes up on the map, that like proves that it's a real location that's verified. And that's always going to do a better search result. So you could do that at your real estate office, your brokerage address, whatever your professional address is, you could do that. So that's kind of what it looks like there. And then this is that site, the Hoth, that I was talking about. What you do is you go to the Hoth.com/search engine rankings and you just type in your website and it will tell you how you rank and for what. So for us, I just did our main site, Trident Title LLC, and then I clicked view Google rankings. It takes a second or two. It asks you to give them your email address, which this is a pay to play site with a lot of things. This tool is free. And then it will tell you, okay, what is going on with your site. So how are people finding you? What keywords are they using? What percentage of traffic is clicking on that? How many results are you showing up? What does the search trend look like? Where can you add links? So this is kind of just a good site to see how you're keeping score. You get, I think it's like 5 of these a day for free. So if you have a couple different sites, you can look at them. But again, tip number one, just to go back real quick, is to keep score. When you leave here today, if you actually want to do this and put into action a lot of the things that we're talking about, tip number one has to come first. I don't want you to go do 2 through 10. I want you to do number one. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Does your site rank? Are you getting any organic traffic? And are you generating any leads? Just write yes or no, to keep score. Put the date today. And then go to Google, type yourself in, see what you find, and then go to the Hoth and see what you find, and just kind of jot these things down or take a screenshot or whatever you do to keep track of things as a starting point, so you know where you're at, because everything else moving forward is going to be pushing to to get you better. It's important to get you better from wherever you're at today. Number 2, we want to optimize your local Google My Business page. If you have one of these, if you've done this already, just type yes in the chat. If you have not, type no. I'm very curious just to see if people know about this or people do it. Because usually it's like people are like, wow, I had no idea that existed. Or they're like, yeah, I did that 10 years ago. And there's usually like nothing in between. It's like a very obvious yes or a very obvious no. So just want to see where we stand. Please play along with some of these because it helps me kind of figure out what to push on. So, all right, mostly no's so far. I'm just scrolling, checking the chat. A couple people, yes, but other businesses, no. Google Analytics, yep. Good. Okay, so a couple yeses, but mostly no. Got it. All right. So what I want you to just make sure you do today, again, don't do it during the call, but do this later. Go to google.com/business and you can claim your business or build out your business. And you want to try to get as close to a 100% profile as possible. And sometimes, you miss something and you don't know why, but here's a couple of the key ones that really fill this in. Number 1 is some kind of a picture. So Google will grab an exterior picture of whatever address you have. But if you have like an interior picture, a tour of your office, inside pictures or anything, put that. And if you have like a logo or something, you want to put that up. Or your professional picture, your team logo, whatever. You just want to have some kind of a picture in there. You need to have an address. So if you're a real estate office or broker or mortgage lender on here, use your actual office address. If you're a real estate agent, you should be using your brokerage address because that is your legal address. So you can use that. Your operating hours, you have to put something on there. You can put open 24/7 or whatever, but you have to put something on there. You want to connect it to a website. So if you actually want to rank in SEO, what we were talking about earlier and what we're going to talk about all day, you have to connect to a website. So whatever your website is for your company or your business, make sure you throw that up there. Directions, if there's any specific directions, you want to put those in there. A description is just like a little bio. So it could be, I'm a great real estate agent at XYZ Realty, serving clients all through Palm Beach County, whatever. And then categories, you want to put at least 2 of them in there. And they're usually very, very easy, very obvious. So it'll be like real estate agent, or, real estate title company, real estate mortgage company, real estate brokerage, or real estate office. So this is probably one of the biggest tips, is just actually doing this will get you found on the maps and on the searches. And for most people, that's way ahead of everybody else. So if you actually just left with step number 1, keep score, and step number 2, setting up your Google My Business, you'll be in good shape. I just want you to see this, number 1, because it's one of the most confusing things you can ever possibly look at in your life. But number 2, because basically it shows you that everything goes to and from Google, right? All these things point to and work with Google. So a lot of people that teach SEO and talk about SEO, they want you to fill out a profile on all of these things. However, if you do it in Google, it kind of like backfeeds all of them. So I would just, if you're going to only focus on this for 5 or 10 minutes, which I know is like realtor patience level, I would go on Google and do the Google My Business thing that we just talked about. And here's what it will look like. So this is for our performance office, performance title. It shows on the top the website, directions, and you could call directly from here. It shows a review. It shows that we're a title company in Palm Beach County. It shows the actual address, what the office number is. We don't have business hours in there, so that would be somewhere to add, right? It has a questions and answers section, a review section, all these different things. So that's just like a rough idea of what it looks like, just so you guys understand that when someone clicks on the business, this is what one looks like. All right, number 3, use keywords in your content. So this is when you're writing posts, when you're making videos, when you're writing blogs, when you're writing stuff for your website, your bio. There's some keywords or key phrases or key strategies that you want to look at. One way to know the key strategies that are finding you, I'm going to go back really quickly to that Hoth site, is right here. You can see where it says top driving keywords. These are the keywords that are driving people to you. So you want to use those when you talk about things. So you might write a bio that says, we are a title company in Palm Beach County, and we service foreclosure, short sales, and traditional sales, whatever. All those things could drive keywords back. So some keywords that you want to make sure you pay attention to, or some phrases that you want to pay attention to, are things that rank highly when people search them on Google. So I just gave you a handful of these. These are right from Google. You can look at Google keywords and AdWords and find out what people are searching for. So I just did that and just showed you a handful of them. The first paragraph, or the first chunk of them, is about actually finding a real estate agent. This has nothing to do with location. This is how people find a real estate agent. They type in local real estate agent, realtors near me, real estate agents near me, top real estate agents, find a realtor, find a real estate agent, local real estate agents, how to find a realtor, best real estate agent in. So if you're writing a bio, ideally you would have something with some of these keywords in there. So your bio might say, are you looking to find a real estate agent in downtown Lake Worth? If so, the best local real estate agents are the Ryan team at XYZ Realty in whatever, Jupiter. All right, and the next little chunk, the next 3 are what people type for when they're trying to sell their house. Tips for selling your home. That's why those ads work really well, by the way. Cost of selling a home. So what is the cost of selling my home? And how do I sell my home fast, right? How do I sell my home fast? Next is distressed stuff. So what is the short sale process? You might write a blog or an article or a post about what the short sale process is, what the foreclosure process is, or how people avoid one or the other, foreclosure or short sale. And then the next little chunk is what people search when they're looking for a specific house. So we're not talking about looking for an agent. Now they're actually looking for a house, which is really how most people team up with or hook up with their realtor. They'll say homes for sale in Jupiter, condos for sale in Delray Beach, townhomes for sale in Wellington, Florida, Jupiter homes for sale. So they'll put the town name in the front, or West Palm Beach condos for sale. So having those things in your content is important. And then the last little piece is first time home buyer programs. That's a popular search right now in Google, helping people with like down payment assistance or FHA or what they can buy and whatnot. So using some of these keywords are important, and you could always look them up in the Google AdWords and on that Hoth site that I shared you guys earlier. Number 4 is a tip about using ads. So This is interesting because this comes from Google, but it's also funny because Google is a business. So this is literally right off of the Google Ads piece. So it says, why won't Google Ads pay-per-click marketing help my SEO? Google's first responsibility is to provide search users with the most relevant possible results. If businesses were able to just pay for higher rankings in the search results, users wouldn't be getting the information that they're looking for. So when Google does a search and there's no ads running, it's going to provide the most relevant information. But then when Google runs a search or someone does a search and there's ads running, you're going to see ad next to it. So essentially people are paying for that space. So a question that people ask all the time is, if I just run ads, am I going to get better SEO? And the truth is they're two totally different things. Ads you're paying to play, SEO is organic. However, if you're looking to spend a little bit of money, ads kind of fast track that. So there's a program called Google Ads or Google AdWords. This is kind of the old, you got to spend money to make money. But this is one of those things that it's time versus money, right? So when you're building this, it takes a lot of time. You might write an article about all those keywords that I shared a couple screens back. And then by the time people click on it and it gets linked to your website and you share it and different people see it and all that stuff, it makes it take some time. But if you want to just be seen faster, quicker, higher, you have the opportunity to just pay, right? And use Google Ads to do that. It gives you a high search volume and low competition, meaning a lot of these things, especially because we're in Palm Beach County, questionably the hottest real estate market in the world right now. We're getting a lot of search volume, and the truth is there's not that much competition on there right now. I'm going to show you some examples later of things that just blew my mind. Back when we used to do a lot of SEO, this is going back, I guess, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. We used to buy every set of keywords imaginable, like Boynton Beach condos for sale, Boynton Beach townhomes for sale, Boynton Beach homes for sale. And when I was just doing a little research for this class, just to, check some things out, it was funny because I realized that so much of that is just not taken anymore and people are just not running those ads. And I do think if you have a little bit of money to spend, there's probably a great opportunity right now with ads in a lot of your markets because there's just nobody doing them. It's actually kind of amazing. So here's a couple examples. So when I look, I just typed into, there's no strategy here. I just randomly picked anything. I didn't rig these searches or set something up. There's literally no strategy. I just typed in a couple towns and things that people do. Jupiter homes for sale. So you can see at the top, it says ad, right? So that one comes up first. And now if you remember what we said a couple screens back, this is what Google says, right? That they are going to make sure that you can't just pay to be higher ranked. But what is this person doing, right? They're paying to be higher ranked. So it always kind of makes me laugh when people say, oh, the ads don't work. And you're right. The ads don't necessarily put you up there organically, but they sure as heck put you up there. So you see 6,630,000 results come in, and the top one magically is an ad. So how people could say ads don't work, I don't really understand. But you look there and you say, okay, in Jupiter, I happen to live in Jupiter right now. So that's just the only reason I started that. I did this really early in the morning on Saturday. So you could see the next one down was realtor.com and showed me the open houses that were lined up. But the top result was an ad. Then I searched some other areas just for the heck of it. I did Delray Beach homes for sale and West Palm Beach homes for sale. And there's no one running ads with those combinations of keywords. So all of you wizards that are on here, I'm sure I'm going to see 3 or 4 people drop off right now and go run those ads and take those spots. And I don't really blame you because 3/4 of the world wants to run and move to Delray Beach or West Palm Beach right now. So you can see this is what the organic pages look like when they're not competing against ads. This is what shows up. So you can see no ads being ran there. Tip number 5 is going to be local content. So actually creating and doing some local content. And I have a really great example for you at the end of this from a friend of mine in Las Vegas. So let's talk local content, a handful of things. Walkability. And I know this is like one of those things that people get iffy with the fair housing. So you have to be a little bit careful of how you word this and how you say this. But one of the top resulting search things now is what they're calling walkability of neighborhoods. And again, I realize people may not be able to walk or be in a wheelchair or whatever. So please, nobody be offended by this, but this is a search result from Google that content based on walkability is important right now. So if you live somewhere, what can you walk to, or what can you ride your bike to, or what can you easily get to? So people that are selling in downtown kind of markets, off the top of my head, I always just think of West Palm, just because I've spent some time in West Palm. I think, all right, what's walkable, right? If I live in, I don't know, Two City or City Palms or whatever, what can I walk to? I could walk to the beach. I could walk to the Intercoastal. I could walk to restaurants. I could walk to nightlife. I could walk to grocery shopping. A lot of you could walk to work, right? There's some people on the call that could walk to work from there. So that is a great piece of content to come up is what's in walking distance or what's around listings or buildings in a certain area that you work or that you farm. Cost of living. So what is cost of living like to live in, maybe it's Loxahatchee versus downtown West Palm? How is that cost of living very different? Or how is it different cost of living moving from Manhattan to Palm Beach or somewhere in the north to here, right? Connecting those things. Social life. Just what goes on, right? What is the nightlife like? What do people do on the weekends in the town that you live? Schools are always popular. You have to be careful that you're not stealing, or steering rather towards certain schools, but greatschools.org gives you all the information that you need, and you could just write articles or create video or create content on those things. Crime, same thing. There's crime everywhere, right? It might be high, it might be low. You can use one of those crime color maps. The MLS has some of them. Restaurants. What are the local restaurants? What are the local businesses? What are the local things to do? These are the things that will score you higher on SEO and will allow you to beat the likes of the Zillow, the Trulia, the Realtor.com, because while they might know some of the things in the area, they don't have anybody that's boots on the ground creating content for these local areas. So when you know a certain neighborhood has a certain nickname or a certain new restaurant or new business or new nightlife spot is opening up, that's some of the best content that you can possibly create, because Zillow can't beat that, and Trulia can't beat that, and Realtor.com can't beat that. So this slide here, that we're on, number 5 here, creating local content and things to do. This is one of the more important tips, because if you're going to get out there and spend the time to create the content, some of the things that we talked about 1 through 4 are like a create it, do it, set it, and forget it. But with this one, if you're creating content, if you're making little videos, you're making blogs, you're working on your website, these are some of the things that you want to constantly be adding in. So this is a great example that a friend of mine that teaches content and SEO stuff in Vegas had talked about years ago when I was in a class of hers, and I just wanted to show you guys this. So apparently around Christmas, people like to search where and if you don't celebrate Christmas, I'm sorry, but this is just a good example. People like to search where they can go see Christmas lights or holiday lights, whatever we want to call them, right? So a popular search in Las Vegas is the Christmas light displays in Las Vegas. Where do I go? And if you look at number 2, I'm going to pull you to her site in a second, but if you look at number 2, there's a blog about the best Las Vegas Christmas light displays. And if you click on that, magically it takes us to her real estate site. So the blog is built into her real estate site, and this gives the opportunity to capture leads. So she does really well with this every year and just kind of updates it and reruns it every year. But this is a great example of SEO working, right? So this came up second. The first one is Vegas family events. I'm imagining that is something owned or ran by the city of Las Vegas, and it's probably not selling real estate, right? And the second search result out of 6,460,000 is a real estate person that is writing a blog and creating content on their website. And now magically they are trapped on your website. So when they want to scroll around and do this, look at the top, they can search, right? On the top right, they can go on to this person's social. On the far right, they're kind of in the middle, there's a home search of what's my home value. There's a home buying process, a home selling process, and more. So there's ways to kind of keep them stuck in the web that started with Christmas lights, which obviously has nothing to do with buying or selling your house. But you're able to build a database and connect to leads for free this way. So I just wanted to show you that example. Number 6, images. Tip number 6 for SEO, images. Google says that 48.97, very precise, of its visitors use the image search. Now, I don't personally do this, but apparently half the world does, where when they search for things, the first thing that they search for is an image. They don't search for news or articles or whatever. They search for an image. And they spend 37 seconds on them, which doesn't sound like a long time. But on like the website clicks, it's usually like 4 or 5 seconds. So that's pretty good. Google says 48.97% of visitors use the image search and spend 37 seconds on them. So I wanted to test this out. So I did this again up here. So I just typed Jupiter real estate for sale. And if you look, literally the first search result is a real estate agent. I don't know who they are, but it's a real estate agent's website. And when you click it, it brings you there. Oh, Dylan Snyder. I do know who that is. I'll take it back. And when I click on that and go to him, it takes you to his real estate site. So imagine that showing up first in Google, which apparently almost 50%, almost half of the people that search use that. And when you look at all the other ones you see, so Devasta, second one is a new home builder, right? But everything else, I'm pretty sure all of these except Zillow, which is number 8 there, all of those are real estate agents. So showing up because of great images, it's pretty cool, right? Showing up first on something that 50% of people use, that's pretty good to me. Number 7, video. 40% of buyers want to watch videos of a tour of a home. Real estate listings with the videos attract 403% more leads. That many more people are driving in. 73% of homeowners more likely to list with an agent that does use video. 51% of the home buyers use YouTube in their search, and leads viewing videos are 174% more likely to purchase than those who don't, because they're further down the funnel, right? If they came in as a lead, but then they watched an entire video about a house, all of a sudden they are, more into it, right? They're not going to get through a 4 or 5 minute video if they don't care about buying real estate. And the most important reason that video is important in SEO is because of this. Right now we're 15 years past this, I think, but Google bought YouTube, I think it was in 2005 or 2006, for 1.65 billion. So if you think they're going to spend that kind of money on something and not have it be one of the key contributors to their platform, you're crazy, right? So when we look back at this, we know that because YouTube is owned by Google, they're going to show those results high up in the searches. So if you're not doing video yet, I know we talk about this on almost every class, but if you're not doing some sort of video yet, as part of your regularly scheduled content, definitely missing out. Number 8, reviews. 88% of people use online reviews to make a decision. Now, this could be where they're going to eat today. It could be what shoes they're going to buy. It could be what real estate agent they're going to use. So if we're not using reviews, if we're not doing these yet, it's time to start. And if you're brand new, I understand. But if you've been in the business for a while, an action step that you could take when you leave here is ask whoever pays you in your office. So if you have an MCA, an accountant, a bookkeeper, a front desk person, whoever it is that pays you, ask them if they can get you a list of all the transactions you've been paid on. Because let's face it, we might forget some of the addresses, or we might forget some of the people, right? But get a list of all the homes that you've been paid on, track those people down, make a follow-up call, and ask them for a review. And if they don't do it within like a day, bribe them. And what I mean by that, and I mean this kind of seriously, is call them and say, hey, listen, I'm curious, what is your favorite spot for coffee? If you had to go, would you do Dunkin' or would you do Starbucks? And 50% will say one, and 50% will say the other, and you'll say, great. Remember that transaction that we did back 18 months ago when you bought the house at 123 Main Street? They're going to say, yeah, it was great. So how did I do? They're going to say good things, obviously, because they have you on the phone and you're about to give them something. So they're going to say, oh, it was great. Yeah, it was awesome. So great. I will send you a $25 Dunkin' or $25 Starbucks or $5, whatever you want, gift card. If you can go on this link that I'm going to send you in 30 seconds and write a review for me. The reviews really feed my business, and I want to be able to feed you your coffee in exchange for feeding my business. So if you're okay with that, I'll shoot it over and have it ready and send it right to them where they can just click on it and do it. If you leave it up to them to figure out, it's not that they don't want to do it. It's not that they don't like you. It's usually more about a little bit of A, they don't care, and a little bit of B, if they have to put any more effort in than just clicking something and writing something, they're just not going to do it. And it's not them being malicious. It's just, they just don't care, or they just don't have the time. So when you set them up and promise them that you're going to send them some sort of a reward or a present for doing so, nice and easy to do. If you're under $25 with any gift in real estate, you're never in trouble for anything. So nice and easy way to do that, just by sending those gift cards. And if you didn't know, you can actually send branded Dunkin' and Starbucks gift cards. So customer feedback is packed with keywords. So the other reason that these reviews are good is because they're going to say in their review, Ryan was a great real estate agent. He helped me find my home in Jupiter, Florida, and we were able to, close in the least amount of time with the least amount of stress, whatever. So they're adding keywords to your SEO without you doing anything and without you even coaching them, because they're just going to try to explain the situation or what happened, right? And Google trust reviews. They want to look at that and they say, okay, if a lot of people are giving reviews, that's building credibility. That's how Google trusts companies, and the companies they trust slide higher up the list. And responding to these reviews will increase the interaction in the SEO as well. So if you're using a review platform that allows you to answer back and say, thanks, Joe Smith, it was so great dealing with you, definitely a plus. And having reviews actually always kind of improve those bounce rates where people might bounce out of your site or quickly be off them. Local reviews are always going to be better SEO. And this is just one of those things that you have to adapt or fall behind. If you're someone that's been in this business and you're not doing reviews, you're just missing out, and it's time to adapt. And if not, just get out of the way, because eventually you're going to get ran over by the people that are doing reviews, because they are, right? So if you have somewhere to use reviews, you can use the Real Satisfied thing through the MLS. You could just have, the best option really is to have them do the reviews right on the Google My Business thing that we talked about on step, I think it was step 2, is really the best spot. You could do that Real Satisfied with the board. My only fear with that, and I don't know, maybe someone can clear this up, but I don't like doing things on platforms that I don't own. And my fear is that that is a third-party platform that the MLS pays for. And if tomorrow they have a fight or Zillow buys them like everything else, we might just lose that overnight, right? So I would use the Google review or like your Facebook business page reviews if that's where you want to, if you're driving people. Just pick one spot though and use it as often as you can. Number 9, social media. So social profiles rank in search engines. So when you search for yourself or you search for your business, you should be able to find your social media profile. So building that out and having that is important. And also you have to think social media itself is a search engine. So when you look at social, if you look on the top of Facebook, there's a big bar that says search, right? And you can start typing in and searching things. If you haven't noticed, Facebook has been trying to get into the real estate space for a while. Google is there, right? Amazon is there. So all these things that you can kind of search on that you don't really think real estate first, they're kind of getting there. So being able to build these things out are important. And it really helps with your content distribution. So putting some of your content, let's just say you write a blog on your website. We're going to talk about blogs here. I think it's next. But sharing that out on your social, it's a good chance it's going to get a lot more eyeballs on it, right? Because you might have 100 people a month on your website, but you might have 1,000 people a month on your social media. So you get a lot more eyeballs on it. And that's always a good thing. So this is a cool little graph that I found. It just shows kind of how SEO is supported by social. So number 1, on the top in the middle there, you publish creative, inspiring, and informative content. Number 2, it's shared and linked, right? So you share it out and there's a link and then other people can click on it. So that's building your SEO. The social profile collects the followers, meaning they see who now has clicked on that site. So you can retarget and do other things with later, helps you build your community and grow your brand. If there's consistently interactions, number 5, made through social and SEO, that kind of reinforces your brand. So if people are going back or people are going on it again, that's reinforcing what you're already telling them that, hey, I know what I'm talking about. Number 6, because there's people back on the site or back on your blog or back on these things, the search engines are going to rank that. Indexing basically just means it shows up higher. And then number 7, the users actually find the site organically because of those search engines, because you've done 1 through 6. So, it's a good cycle to get into when you're creating content and using social to drive people to your business. And number 10, I think this is the last one, number 10, a blog. So if you don't have a blog yet, this is one of the greatest ways to get SEO pretty quickly, right? To start kind of ranking and to start showing up. You can do this on your website. So if you have your own website, you can do it right on there if you have a website that's able to do that. If not, you want to use something called Blogger. And this is actually Google's product. It's Google's blogging platform. There's others, and it's okay to use others too. But just for simplicity, I just wanted to kind of teach 2. One is whatever website platform you use is cool. Ideally, you own it. You own the data. That's the important thing. And the second piece is Blogger, because Google owns it, and they're always going to rank their own stuff that they own higher than anything else. Some reasons to use a blog or things that you want to just keep in mind. This is going to increase organic search. So if you write a blog about the top 10 waterfront bargains in Jupiter, or the top 5 things to walk to when you live in downtown West Palm, or the top 10 restaurants to go to in Wellington, these are things that are going to help you show up on the organic search rates. It helps you create fresh new content, right? It's something new. You could write a new blog in theory every day. I realize some of you might not like that, or it might seem obnoxious, but if you wanted to, you could write a new blog every day pretty easily. There's plenty going on in Palm Beach County that you could connect to and do. It helps to incorporate backlinks, which I don't want to get too in depth into. It's an SEO thing, but basically it is when a link is kind of behind the scenes taking somebody somewhere else. Those are good for SEO. It helps build your credibility, right? It kind of makes you look like the neighborhood expert or the local expert, whatever you want to call it. More indexed pages, which means it finds more pages of your site. So if you have a site and you have 1 page, great. And then you add a blog this week about the 5 best waterfront breakfast spots. then you have a second page, right? So now there's 2 spots to be found. And then next week you do the top places to, I don't know, get a cocktail. Now you have 3, right? So the more index pages you have, the better. Kind of creates stickiness because it allows people to get stuck looking at stuff, reading things, and spending more time on your site. The more time spent on your site, the higher you show up in Google. It helps to answer customer questions. So some of the best blog topics you can come up with are just the standard customer questions. So like something I would do right now that would be great is how can a customer have a better chance in a multiple offer situation? And you're rigging this obviously to make it set up to make your life easier as well, but it's getting pre-approved first, you know, having the least amount of debt, being ready to move within 30 days, waiving an inspection, having extra cash to cover an appraisal, you know, whatever it may be. But all the questions that you hear customers ask is a good blog topic, right? So like one thing you could do is anytime you have a customer or a friend ask you a real estate question, just put it in a note on your phone or wherever you save things, just put it there. And that's an idea for a blog content. So if someone asks you, hey, you know, maybe they've never bought a house before and they say, I heard you have to have 20% down to buy a house. Is that true? There you go. Blog content, right? Why it's not necessary to have 20% down to buy a house. And then an article, and you might ask your favorite lender that you work with, hey, what are the top 5 options for people to buy a house right now, right? So it's cash. Second one might be, you know, conventional, more than 20% down with a DU. Third one might be conventional 5. Fourth one might be FHA. Fifth one might be VA. Whatever it is, you know, you're answering a question that a lot of people have. And all these things at the end of the day drive more traffic. So in summary, we covered a lot today. And I just want you to realize that SEO is not going anywhere. So those of you, I had it on a couple slides, but it said adapt or be left behind. You know, those of you that don't want to learn this or don't care or think it's silly, I understand. However, it's not going anywhere. Google is not going anywhere. The internet is not going anywhere. And people searching for real estate on the internet is never going anywhere. So we need to be able to adapt and work on some of these tactics to be able to get in the game and for some of us to stay in the game, right? So if you want the replay, reach out tonight. You can reach out to myself, Gab Bryce, Melissa Kidwell, Dave Ward, or Tracy Cinder. We'll all have that available within a couple hours. These longer ones, you know, when we have an hour or so Zoom, it usually takes a couple hours to get uploaded and processed. But if you want the replay, we will have that for you tonight. If you haven't already sent us your business, let me know what we can do to earn it. If you have and we're already working with you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Some of our tools, we're going to talk a little bit about this next week. Next week, we're going to talk about LinkedIn, but we also are going to start throwing in a slide that show you guys some of the tools and some of the solutions that we have in play for you. The 2 that I think are always the most important are our mobile app, which most of you are on and using, and a program we have called Title Pro to help you guys get data and leads and all that fun stuff. So we'll be bringing you more of that in the coming days, weeks, and months. Kara, thanks as always for the slides. Everything looks good. If you haven't connected with us already on the private Facebook community, just Google or search Ryan McHugh Real Estate Trainer Inner Circle. It's a Facebook group. It's private. You have to request to join, and I will approve you. It always has our schedule of what we have going on. And every once in a while, some tips and tricks. I have some scripts in there and some other fun stuff, and planning on spending some more time in that group this year. If you guys want to be involved. Thursday at 4, a Better Call Paul returns. Paul's going to cover a closing statement. This is a question we get a lot that people just don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what to say. They don't even understand when they see one what the heck they have to pay attention to. So we're just going to have Paul go over it, and I'll ask him some questions about it that I know you guys have, and we'll give you the opportunity to do that. So that's Thursday at 4. Monday at 11, 1 week from today, we're doing LinkedIn for real estate professionals. I built that class out over the weekend, and it is good. So if you're not using LinkedIn at a high level, you're going to want to jump in on that one. Everything else, I will see you guys later. See, there's a bunch of stuff in the chat, so I'll hop in there and do that. And if you have any questions, I will hang on. For everybody else, you're out a couple minutes early. Thank you guys, as always, and we will see.